Hey, Bio. Video 6, sex-linked traits. We are going to start talking now about traits that are not on your 22 other pair. If you guys remember, you guys have 23 pair of chromosomes, 46 total. Half of them came from mom and half of them came from dad. Now, the first 22 are called autosomes, and then that last set, your X and Y, determines gender. Now, there is more information on those than just the stuff that determines your gender. There's some other traits as well, and those traits we call sex-linked traits because they are on those X's if you're a girl or those X and Y's if you're a boy. For the most part, they're located on the X chromosome. That's because the X chromosome is bigger than the Y chromosome, okay? So ladies, you have room for a little bit more information. We've got a few more things we have to do. As ladies, we've got biologically some more information like how to create a placenta and how to grow a baby. So that's why we need our two X chromosomes. Not that all that information is on those, but some of it is. So that means these sex-linked traits, if you are a lady, you get two of them. You get one on each of your X chromosomes. If you're a guy, you only get one of these genes. You don't get one on your Y chromosome because the Y chromosome is just too small. There's not enough room to put all that information on there. So that means that because guys only get one copy of this, if it's a recessive trait, they only need one recessive allele to show the disorder. So we're going to give some examples here in this video, and you will see that it is much more likely that a male will get some of these disorders than a female, because a lot of them are recessive. And if you guys remember, to show a recessive phenotype, you need two lowercases, right? If you're a guy, you only need one lowercase because you only have one copy of this on your X chromosome. You don't have it on your Y chromosome. So this is one of those traits that in a male, you don't necessarily have to inherit from mom and dad to show the trait, okay? Ladies, you do. You've got two X's. You'll get one from mom, one from dad. Guys, you usually get you do get your X from your mom. So you're going to get one copy of this gene from mom. And if it's a recessive disorder, you only got to get one of them, okay? All right, some examples of some of these disorders we're going to talk about, okay? First one is color blindness. There's a few different types of color blindness. The one that we are going to talk about is called red-green color blindness. And that means that individuals don't see the difference between red and green. So this one is just a quick little example. You guys can see all these different beautiful red and green fruits, and they all look to be similar shades with someone who has red-green color blindness. I will actually give you a color blindness test in class. You guys may have seen them before very often when you get your vision tested, especially if you got glasses or something early on, like kindergarten or even before that. They'll do a color blindness test. So we will do one in class so you can see if you're colorblind or not. Another one is called hemophilia. Make sure you guys are writing all these examples down too. So make sure you wrote down the red-green color blindness. And then here's a few more. Hemophilia. If you guys know the prefix hemo, that means blood. Hemophilia is a disorder in the blood where you don't have or you don't correctly produce platelets. And platelets are what make scabs when you start to bleed. If you are healthy, now this is supposed to mean the inside of a blood vessel, like a cross section, you get some kind of a hemorrhage here, some kind of a cut to the blood vessel. And what happens is these little platelet things come in and they fill it up. Okay, they fill it up. We get dried red blood cells. That's what makes our scab kind of look red and eventually brown. If someone has hemophilia, they either don't make platelets at all, or they don't make them correctly, or they don't make enough. So when they have some kind of a cut, it doesn't clot correctly. Sorry, it's not going to clot correctly. So they're going to continue to bleed. Someone who has really severe hemophilia, even the slightest little bruise can cause internal bleeding. So hemophilia is another one, much more common in males than females because it's recessive, and the guys only have to get one recessive. Two other ones, you guys, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. This is another one inherited by males. About 1 in 3,000 males ends up with this. I can't remember his last name now. I'm so sorry, but it's one that they've been raising a lot of money in the NFL about it. If you guys have seen any commercials about it. Oh, Clay Matthews is his name, who plays for the Green Bay Packers. He does quite a bit of fundraising for Duchenne's. And then last one is male pattern baldness. Okay, male pattern baldness is a sex-linked trait. It is recessive, so obviously much more common for males to get it. Doesn't mean that females can't, but it is much more common for males. So make sure that you guys wrote down all of those examples, please. All right, now let's walk through how this works. You are going to have extra symbols on your X's and Y's here. An uppercase N means a normal gene. A lowercase n means a gene for the disorder. So starting here, we've got a male. And you guys know males are X's and Y's. The Y, notice it doesn't have an upper or a lowercase n. It does not have room for a gene for this trait. So the guy only gets one copy. This is a normal guy. He's got an uppercase N. Then we're going to have a mom. Mom has the normal gene, and then she's hiding a recessive gene for the disorder. So she is a carrier. So mom is a carrier for whatever this disorder is. Maybe it's colorblindness. So we would have a normal dad, normal mom, but mom has one gene for colorblindness that she can pass down. Usually this wouldn't be a big deal because we would need two lowercases. But remember, in sex-linked, the male does not need two lowercases. He only needs one. So we have the possibility to pass this disorder down and have it show up in the phenotype. Okay, here's our babies. Make sure you guys make a big old Punnett square so you can add this information too. These are really the phenotypes that I'm adding under the genotypes for you. So first thing we've got the girls. You got a 50% chance of having a girl, 50% chance of having a boy. Half of our Punnett square is always going to be girls, half is boys. Does that mean that it's always 50-50? No. Okay, I have two kids. They're both boys. I still had a 50-50 chance of having boys and girls. So the first one we've got a girl, and she shows up as normal. She's not carrying any of the genes for the disorder. She is going to be the homozygous normal. Then we have another girl who has a normal gene, but she's hiding the recessive gene for the disorder. So she's going to be a carrier. Then we've got two males. This male is going to be normal. He only gets one copy, remember, because the Y is too small. Then we have one male who ends up with the disorder. Let's say it's colorblindness. Because he only needs one recessive, there's no room for another one. So we've got two normal parents who end up with a colorblind child because the mom was a carrier. All right, now moving over here, I'm really just going to do genotypes, and then I listed phenotypes next to it. That's all you guys really need to do. Here's how it gets different. The whole Punnett square isn't out of 100%. You have to talk about the two girls as 100% and the two boys as 100%. So we can't say that everyone with a disorder is the same because it's different for girls than it is for boys. So 50% of girls, 50% of girls, 50% of boys, 50% of boys. Okay, there's no 25s in this one. It's only 50s and 100. So out of my girls here, I had one of my two girls, 1 out of 2, half, 50%, had the normal genotype, the two N's, and then one of my girls was a carrier. Then I had no girls that were colorblind or had the disorder. My boys, I had one boy that was normal and one boy that had the disorder. Notice I have 3 possibilities for the girls and only 2 for the boys. That's because there is no carrier in the male. A male can't be a carrier because remember, he only gets one copy. Okay. This part gets a little tricky. Your percentages are different. If it helps you write down, there are no 25s here. We are looking at girls as 100% and boys as 100%. Okay, and your summary is to find the results from a cross between a colorblind mother and a normal father. Remember, normal is going to be our dominant, and having the disorder is going to be the recessive. All right, that is the end of video 6, sex-linked traits.